Hello and welcome to another edition of Uncorked with Funny Wine Girl. This is me, Funny Wine Girl, Janine Luby. Who else would it be? So welcome and hey, I hope you're ready for the summer. I know that I kind of am, pretty much. Crazy weather though. I mean, we get 90 degrees one day here in Northeast PA, and then a few days later, we've got a high of 65. But that is apparently the new climate that we live in. So we're going to make the most of it. So, as you may have already gathered from my opening here, I would like to talk about summer today and in the coming episodes in the next few weeks. And today, for this week's episode, it's going to be me. I have no guest. So if you're not a fan of me, and that's okay, I always like to say that I'm not everyone's cup of tea or glass of wine. That's okay. I would rather not be. I wouldn't want to be that likable. Come on. Um, but anyway, I am going to share some things that I like to do in the summer here in Northeastern Pennsylvania. And for those folks who might have family or friends visiting, some ideas if you might want some ideas of what you could do this summer. I want to talk about just a few different things. Some things that, like I said, I like to do here in the Scranton, Northeastern Pennsylvania region. And then in the coming weeks, I'm going to have a couple guests who will talk about things that are related to the summer movies, summer safety. I'm going to have a health and wellness safety person, safety expert on. So she'll be giving us some tips about how to stay safe, us and our families this summer when we're out and about, and a couple other surprises that will be coming up this summer. And I hope that you are ready to uncork some really good times because you deserve them. You've worked hard, and hopefully you get to enjoy yourself this summer. So if you're listening and you are not in Northeastern Pennsylvania, hey, why don't you come visit us? That's what I have to say. And if you are in Northeastern Pennsylvania, hopefully you know already that there are some really wonderful things that you can do here in the summer months. One of the first things I wanted to bring up, and please feel free to share with me on my Facebook page, Funny Wine Girl Janine, or on Instagram. Excuse me, I actually have to get rid of this dryness in my throat before I start choking. Excuse me there. Thank you. Please share with me on Instagram or Facebook, or just message me privately some of your favorite places and memories of Northeastern Pennsylvania in the summertime, because I would love to be able to share those with other people, other listeners, other people who come to visit my pages. But I'm going to share just some of mine. And I wanted to get started with one of the I think favorite things, not just in Northeastern Pennsylvania, but throughout the whole country during the summer, drive-ins, right? Drive-ins, I think that most of us have a fond childhood memory of drive-ins. Although it's funny that I truly cannot tell you a specific movie that I remember as a kid. What I do remember is how I felt, the feeling of putting on your pajamas, being able to quote unquote go out in public, even though we weren't really leaving the car, but leaving the house in our pajamas in the car was just a really cool thing. And again, I can't tell you what movies we went to see. And I think we may have only gone a few times, but I just remember the idea of going out, leaving the house in comfortable PJs and being able to go watch a movie. And I mean, whether you've gone yourself or you've watched movies like Grease or other movies where they feature drive-ins, you know that it's a really fun thing to do, whether it's, with your family or with a date. Now, I do have more memories of going to the drive-in with dates. One I definitely won't share because it's a little bit adult. But the other one I will share because it goes to how much of a dork I was on this date. And I wasn't like a kid or a teenager. I think I was in my mid to late 20s when I went on a date with this guy. And I think it was, gosh, I don't know if we went one other date before. So it was probably our second date. I don't think we went on too many. But I just remember, I don't remember what was in the movie theater, but I remember staying really close to my door on my side of his SUV. And I kept my seatbelt on for the entire movie. I don't know if that was deliberate, excuse me, or if I was just being dense. I don't know. I was like dorky. I didn't really know this guy very well and I didn't really like him all that much. But hey, you date, you get to know people. I don't think we were really well suited for one another, but I just remember us going to the drive-in and me like basically hugging my side of the vehicle. And I don't know why in the hell I still had my seatbelt on. But anyway, I do remember that. And like I said, I won't share the a really adult one that I do remember. We had some fun. And of course, I've gone on other platonic fun trips to the drive-in, and it's just fun. I still like it today because again, you get to wear comfy clothes. Recently, maybe a couple of years ago, I remember going in, it was after the summer. I think it was October. So it was pretty chilly. And, bringing a blanket, wearing my fuzzy, booty slippers and bringing, you could bring your own food, your own beverages. And I think it was the Halloween movie with Jamie Lee Curtis, not the most recent one that came out in 2021, but the one before that. So maybe it was the year or two before that. I remember going to see that in the drive-in. And I will share one other thought on the drive-in before I get to the history of drive-ins. I want to share just a little bit about that. Um, I will tell you that as much as I love movies and I used to love going to the movies, that whole experience, I actually now really will only go to the movies to the drive-in because I don't like the lack of we seem to no longer agree on social courtesies and social mores, where it used to be that you could go to the movies and you might have a couple chatty people, and someone else might shush them, or maybe you'd go get the usher, but people were pretty well behaved. These days I don't really know what's going on, and I don't want to go down a negative rabbit hole. So I'll just say I don't know what's up with people, but people take phone calls. They actually talk out loud in the movie theater. They text the whole time with the bright light of their phone. They take selfies. I've been in one theater with a woman, kind of young woman, I guess she was in her 20s, was like pretty much narrating the movie the whole time. And I will say that I really don't enjoy it. It kind of makes me anxious because I'm not enjoying it. And I don't want to be in a room where people are talking out loud to one another, answering their phone. It's just rude and I just can't enjoy the movie. And over the past, I don't know, it's been a couple of years, but when I would go with the person I was dating, he would try to help on my behalf, but then he would be rude to the people to shut them down so they wouldn't be on their phone. And then that gave me more anxiety. So I would sit there pretty much just feeling super anxious. So that's why I don't like to go to the movies anymore. Maybe if I went with a whole group again sometime where there was 5 of us or 10 of us, so I'd kind of feel like insulated and protected. But when it's just me and one other person and there's rudeness around, it just gives me anxiety and I don't like it. And really there's not much you can do about that. You can't really yell at these people and say, you're being rude, because obviously they don't care and they don't see their behavior as rude. So what are you going to do? So I choose to go the drive-in. And I will tell you, even in the drive-in, sometimes I get frustrated because, we parked one time behind an SUV, and the family had kids, and most of the kids were sitting in their little camping chairs, which was fine. But the one girl who was maybe 8, 9, 10, she wanted to sit on the roof of the car. So she got out through the sunroof and sat on top of their vehicle. And she was in our view. So she did obstruct our view, but again, that's not too bad. But so there's always going to be annoyances. So bottom line, Janine, I have to tell myself to get yourself in check. But there are too many frustrations for me at the regular movies. So I really do like the drive-in because there are not as many annoyances and you get to be super comfortable. You get to bring your own food, you get to bring your own beverages, you get to totally chill, and it's just fun. So I wanted to share a little bit about drive-ins. That I just did a little research on. We in Scranton here, where I live, have the Circle Drive-In, and that has been around since I believe 1949. And so that's a pretty long time. And that is up, that's on Route 6. It's just a little bit north of Scranton. And on Sundays, they do a flea market there. So that's been known. Oh my gosh, I have memories of going up there as a child too that have stuck with me. But that's always been something that's been pretty much iconic since I've grown up. I mean, like I said, it's been around since 1949. It's listed as, yeah, September 10th, 1949. It's one of the longest running drive-ins in the United States. Today, they do use digital projection and audio, but they maintain the classic feel with their old signage. And, they have the old refreshment stand, the concession stand, that little brick building. So it still has that old feel. That's kind of cool. And, you listen by getting the channel of the radio channel, but to listen to the audio. So that's still kind of a unique feel that harkens back to the good old days, so to speak. And then the Circle Drive-In also does kind of like some fun stuff where they'll do like the NEPA I can't talk today, horror film festival, the Circle of Screams. They do a lot of different fun stuff. They do parties. They've had different kind of events, some kind of office, the office. There was an event that took place there, I think this spring, and they had like a taco festival. So they use the space for different stuff, which is really nice. Sometimes live music. And another thing I like that they do, they will show old movies sometimes. Like I think it was 2 summers ago, we went to see Jaws, but they will also do a showing in July of Christmas Vacation, Chevy Chase, Christmas Vacation, Lampoon's Vacation, which is, I have not gone to see it, but it's fun. And I think they do it as a fundraiser for a local nonprofit. So it's really cool. And people will get dressed up as, their favorite characters from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And that's very cool. I see my one friend, Julie Esty. I've had her on the show. She is always a fun character. She attends and she usually posts fun pictures. So it is kind of cool to go. And the great thing too about the drive-in, if you don't want to sit in your car and be antisocial like me, you can bring your chairs and sit out. If you have a group of people with you, you can socialize, you can have almost like a tailgate party. So it's a really cool feel. So the Circle Drive-In, like I said, it's in the Scranton area. It's been around since 1949, which is really cool. And Pennsylvania itself was an early adopter of the outdoor movie theater. In April 1934, Shank Weiler's Drive-In in Orfield, which is in Lehigh County, became the second drive-in movie theater to open in the U.S. So that's kind of cool. Pennsylvania was definitely on board quickly. Today, it's the oldest operating drive-in in the country. And I got this from the website Where and When PA, and it says that the Keystone State, Pennsylvania, ranks second behind New York in the number of drive-ins that are still in operation. So that's cool. Pennsylvania likes to keep it old school, classic. I guess that makes sense because a lot of times we're a little bit behind the trends, but so we're keeping a little bit of the classic feel with the drive-ins, which is very cool. And the last bit of info I did want to share, I wanted to tell you about the actual beginning of drive-ins and how this happened. And I got this information from New York Film Academy website. It said that though there were drive-ins as early as the 1910s, the first patented drive-in was opened 1933 by Richard Hollingshead in New Jersey. He created it as a solution for people unable to comfortably fit into smaller movie theater seats after creating a mini drive-in for his mother. So that's actually, I did not know that until I read this on this website. Again, is it a credible website? I don't know, but it's a New York Film Academy site, so I would trust them. And that's an interesting fact because to me, that right there shows entrepreneurship, right? His mother must have been kind of a larger woman. She couldn't fit into the movie seats. And he thought, well, how can we fix this? She still wants to see movies. And that's how the drive-in was created, or the outdoor movie theater, which is, you have a problem. And what do entrepreneurs do? They find a solution, and now that solution has grown to be like this American, tradition that, very nostalgic, that a lot of people have great memories. And the thing about it is too, you don't have to choose one or the other, right? For me, as I've said, I don't enjoy going to the movies anymore. So the drive-in is a nice alternative for me because I get to kind of stay insulated in my own vehicle. But if you're someone who just loves the movie going experience, you could still go to the regular movies, but then in the summer, you get to enjoy. And I think it really can be a fun place for the whole family, because when you do go, you see, families, you get there early. The kids sometimes will bring a football. Maybe they're passing a football before the movie starts, or, they're tossing a ball back and forth. They're doing games, some kind of outdoor games. They've got their own snacks. It's just it's fun family time. It can be a nice date. It could be a nice thing for friends to do. So it really is kind of a cool thing. So according to the New York Film Academy site, the first one was 1933. Like I said, Richard Hollingshead in New Jersey created it for his mom. And it said, appealing to families, Hollingshead advertised his drive-in as a place where the whole family is welcome, regardless of how noisy the children are. So there you go. The kids get to be noisy. I would like them to create all kinds of places like that for kids. So anyway, I won't go on that one. My little rant about where, kids are everywhere these days at wineries and breweries, and I don't necessarily agree with that, but hey, that's my take. If I trip over your kid and I spill my wine, be prepared to buy me another one. That's all I'm saying. And keep your child quiet on the other side of the winery. Anyway, hey, wine and children, they should go, and parenting with wine and kids. That sounds great to me. Anywho, so the success of Hollingshead's drive-in caused more and more drive-ins to appear in every state in the country, and it spread internationally as well. This website says that drive-ins gained immense popularity 20 years later during the 1950s and 60s with the baby boomer generation. There were over 4,000 drive-ins throughout the U.S., and most were in rural areas. So they maintain popularity as a space for families to spend time together and an affordable date night option. So again, you're creating something fun for the family, but a kind of a different, fun, affordable date night. So that's pretty cool. Drive-ins could only show movies during certain times of the year and were dependent on having decent weather. During the 70s oil crisis, people downsized their cars in order to save money on the inflated cost of gas, making it uncomfortable to watch movies at the drive-in. Yeah, I guess if you have a family of 6, you don't want to be, in a smart car. Although I know they didn't have smart cars in the 70s. I'm being sassy here, but obviously that makes sense, right? And these days, a lot of Americans have, the Tahoe, the Suburban. So, people people are lounging, and they've got a DVD player in the car. Maybe they have 3, so the kids are watching on their iPad. Things are different nowadays. They don't have to like the movie that's being played at the drive-in. They can watch their own on any number of devices, because hey, that's progress. Any hoots, to make up for lost revenue, drive-ins began losing their family-friendly atmosphere by showing exploitation films like slasher horrors as well as adult content. Oh boy. And then it says the development of the VCR made it more appealing to stay at home and watch movies without paying for a movie at the drive-in. Slowly, drive-ins began to lose their appeal. To have an effective drive-in, it had to be on at least 15 acres of land. Economically speaking, it became more practical for owners to close their drive-ins in order to sell their land to developers to build malls or multi-building complexes, or maybe in some cases, parking lots, right? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Ooh, Joan Baez, is that? Even though drive-ins are not nearly as popular today as they used to be, with some arguing that they will be obsolete within the next decade, there are still drive-ins in business throughout the country. And as I said, of course, we have the Circle Drive-In here in northeastern Pennsylvania. I have a good friend, Sharon, who lives in the Lehigh County. She lives in Northampton, and I know there's I think it's called Becky's Drive-In. I'm not sure exactly what township that is. It's only, I believe, maybe 15 minutes from her house or 10 minutes from her house in Northampton. So I know that there are still several throughout the country. And in fact, Oliver Oliver, who has become a bit of a phenom, a fan favorite here because he's the most recurring guest on Uncorked with Funny Wine Girl. Oliver has been on last May. I've just celebrated 1 year of doing podcasts. Oliver was my very first full-length podcast guest last May. And in that episode, we talked about movies because Oliver, so if you're a movie fan, go back to Some Like It Chilled. It was my first full-length podcast episode. Oliver and I spoke about movies because Oliver was doing, he's always loved movies. I've known him since he's 14 years old. We've known each other for well over 30 years. And every year during the Oscars, he would buy every movie and he makes sure that he sees every movie that's nominated. And he did about, 2020 or 2021, he did a blog where he wrote about a movie every day of the year. And these were movies that he may have seen years before, but then before writing the blog, he'd watch them again so that it was fresh in his mind. So what I'm getting to is that Oliver's a really big fan of movies. And I went to visit him recently, he and his husband in Nightdale, which is near Raleigh, North Carolina. And he recently went to see Top Gun. I think it was about 2 or 3 weekends ago. And it was a quote unquote drive-in, but he sent me a picture and he was kind of laughing because it was a big screen that was put up on the side of a building, I believe perhaps a mall parking lot. So not exactly your typical drive-in, but again, it's inventive, right? If you're trying to, maybe some people aren't comfortable going back into a building at this point with COVID. There are still some folks who don't feel comfortable being in crowds indoors. So this is another option. And, there's just something kind of cool, a fun feel about watching a movie outside. So that is kind of a neat thing. And in fact, I know some families, some friends who've projected movies onto sheets or on the side of their home if they've got a smooth wall to project it on. I think that's very cool. I think it's a really neat thing to do. So let's see. To close up the idea of drive-ins, for now, there are over 300 drive-ins still in operation. Ohio, New York, and Pennsylvania have the most drive-ins still in operation in the US. So again, I think that's a really fun thing to do for the summertime. And I will tell you one movie that I'm hoping goes to the drive-in so that I could see it is a scary movie with Ethan Hawke in it I think it's called The Black Phone. It just looks kind of creepy, freaky, kind of scary. And I would like to see that. So I'm hoping that goes to the local drive-in at the Circle Drive-In. Now, so the other thing I'd like to get to just mention a few other places that maybe if you do live in Northeast PA, you already know about, but maybe you don't. And if you've got friends and family coming, maybe you'd want to check them out. I want to mention a couple websites that are great too, so that you living here or visiting, you might want to check out. DiscoverNEPA.com is a really good website. They keep that updated with a list of local businesses, a calendar of things to do. So it's a really good website, DiscoverNEPA.com. There are also the website for visitnepa.org is something that is a great resource for finding things to do in northeastern Pennsylvania. And of course, if you are into hiking and trails, I think it's dcnr.pa.gov. You can find out about state parks throughout the state of Pennsylvania. And I will put all of this information into the post about this podcast. But one of the things that I really enjoy is spending time outdoors, specifically not just outdoors, but anything that's a little bit more remote or tranquil. Like I love sitting on my deck in the morning and in the evening when things are quiet, especially in the morning before things get too crazy, watching my bird feeder. I get super excited when the cardinals show up. We have a woodpecker that comes by, a blue jay. I wish, it wasn't until I had a bird feeder that I realized how big those birds are. I did not think they were, but when it got on the bird feeder, it like almost broke it. It was a big bird. And they don't have the nicest disposition. Let's say if they were in preschool, they would probably be scolded by the teacher for not sharing, because when they get on the feeder, they are kind of like bullies. They kind of send all the other birds flying away. Pardon me, I had to take a drink of water. And I do have a goal. It's been 1 year since I've been doing this podcast, and my goal is to learn to edit more. I have done it on occasion. I don't do it too often. And I will work on that. My promise, my vow to you is if you keep returning to listen, I promise I will work on editing so that I take out little pauses like that, because you're not, you're a busy person. You don't need to just hear me pause. You don't want silence and dead air. Um, so I love watching the birds. I love spending time in nature. So one of my favorite places to go is the Lackawanna State Park, which is north of Scranton. Excuse me. It's really not a long ride. It's depending on how you take, if you take 81 north, or I like to go through Clark Summit, like South Abington, Waverly, because I don't like being on high traffic areas. You're probably thinking, geez, this girl's got a lot of anxiety. I do about certain things. As I'm getting older, I'm getting actually more anxiety about driving. I still do drive on 81, but it's just always so full of tractor trailers and just people who like to go about 80 in a 55. So I like to take the leisurely route through South Abington Township, through Waverly, to get to the state park, which I can't tell you exactly if it's considered Waverly. Part of it could be Scott Township. It's, heading up toward Factoryville, Fleetville. I don't know exactly what township it is, but you can find it if you look online. Lackawanna State Park. It's only a short 15 to 20-minute ride from the Scranton area, and you can fish there. You can kayak there. That's one of my favorite things to do. You do need a permit for your craft. So even a kayak, you do need to get a permit. And of course, you have to have a life jacket on your vessel, on your kayak. You can hike around the lake there. There are many trails. Run. I love to go through there and walk or run around the trails. That gives me such a sense of peace. I actually love doing that even more in the fall and in the winter time, as long as it's not too slippery out. It's actually quite beautiful after a snowfall, and I'm not a fan of heat, so it actually can be kind of nice in the summer because it tends to be cooler among the trees. But if you've ever heard of forest therapy, it is a real thing, and it is based on an Asian, I want to say a Chinese concept, Shinroku. I'm probably massacring the name. I apologize for people who know, and you're sitting there going, oh, it is basically the Asian name associated with forest therapy or forest bathing. It is a real thing. And whether you call it forest therapy, forest bathing, whatever you want to call it, it's basically the feeling of peace and tranquility and a really good sense of wellness after you spend time in the woods. And it is true. When I go for a hike or I do trail running, among those trees, there is just something so peaceful. And when I'm finished, it just feels really great. I want to say back in maybe March or April, maybe it was April, I was having one of those days where I was in a horrible mood, and I was also feeling really sorry for myself. And it was one of those, if I was, again, kind of like that blue jay would be in trouble for being a bully, I would have been in trouble because I would have been a temperamental kid. I was acting like one. I was like, I'm in a bad mood and I don't want to get in a good mood. I just kind of wanted to wallow. And I thought, you know what I need? I need some forest therapy. So I headed up to the state park, and I wasn't really feeling great. So I didn't run, but I did walk for an hour, and I went around the trails. And of course, it did exactly what I expected it to do, which was to make me feel better. And there is research about that it does help, I believe, lower our blood pressure and just gives us a really nice sense of calm and peace. So I would recommend Lackawanna State Park. There's also in Luzerne County, there's the Francis Slocum Park. I have yet to go there. It is on my list to go kayaking. In fact, this weekend, if the weather holds out, I'm hoping it doesn't rain on Saturday, I am supposed to kayak. We're starting somewhere in Susquehanna, and we're going to kayak for 2 hours. And then when we get to land, we are going to do yoga. So it's called the Yak. Is it called Yak and Yoga or something like that? I think it is. And it's, I forget the name of the company, and they rent the kayak. So you don't even have to own one, and you can paddle for 2 hours and then do yoga. So that's very cool. And I believe they're going to be doing more of those. That is this Saturday, June 11th, but there are more planned. In fact, they do some associated with a full moon paddle. I've seen that advertised on Facebook. They do it, so obviously an evening paddle. So that's something great that you can do. Doesn't obviously you don't have to be in Pennsylvania. You can kayak anywhere. So find a list of state parks wherever you are, New York, New Jersey, wherever you're at. There are wonderful things to do with nature: hiking, trail running, walking, kayaking, fishing, swimming. Now at the state park, you cannot swim, Lackawanna State Park, excuse me, you cannot swim in the lake, but they do have a pool. However, I will say, and I'm sure this is common in many regions, right now in northeastern Pennsylvania, the past couple of years, a lot of the pools have not opened, or they've opened on limited days and limited hours because they're having difficulty getting people to be lifeguards, young people to be lifeguards. So there's been a shortage of lifeguards. So I know that does affect the pool hours, unfortunately. So yes, if you're kayaking at Lackawanna State Park and you're in your kayak in the lake, you can't jump in, but you can paddle and enjoy it, and you can fish, and you can catch some really cool sights on there. I will tell you, it is one of my favorite things to do. I've done it as early as, I don't think I've done it as early as April. I think I usually start in May, and I've done it as late as mid to late October. I've seen an eagle out there. I love to see the heron, blue heron. I've taken great pictures of the heron when, I will admit, I kind of snuck up on him. And he probably got a little annoyed with me, but when he took off, I got a lovely video and photo of him in full flight. Beautiful. I've seen turtles. I've actually gotten a video of turtles mating. Um, and not because I'm a creeper or a stalker or a weirdo. There was some noises going on and these rings in the water, the circles, and it's like, what is going on over there? And went over and I did a video, and I'm like, oh my gosh, those are turtles mating. So that was interesting to see. And of course, I love, the water lilies there. The lily pads are so beautiful. Of course, I've seen, I was up there Memorial Day, and I did see a deer right by the edge of the water there. So it's just beautiful to spend time outdoors in nature. So that's one of my favorite things to do. But of course, there are summer concerts. I'm looking forward to going up to Bethel Woods, which is in New York. So that's about a little over a 2-hour ride here from northeastern Pennsylvania up 81, I believe 81 north, and then maybe we shift a little bit, but we're going, a couple friends of mine and I are going to see Alanis Morissette and Garbage July 19th at Bethel Woods. I cannot wait. I've never seen a concert there. I was there for the first time last September, excuse me. I was there for the Harvest Festival, and it was just really cool to walk around. It was beautiful up there, but I really look forward to this concert. I loved Alanis in the 90s. I was a big fan, and also a fan of Garbage. So that should be fun. And if you want to hear more about concerts, Oliver and I actually talked about those as well in an episode last summer. And that episode was called Mary's Stain, and we had a lot of fun. So if you like to listen to two goofballs like me and my friend Oliver chit-chatting, check that one out. We were talking about some of our favorite memories from summer concerts. Like we went to see Oliver. Yeah. We went to see Madonna, which is, of course, he lives for Madonna. We went to see Madonna together twice, once as teenagers and once as adults, maybe 15, 18 years ago. And we went as high school students, we went to see George Michael together. So we talked about those concerts, and those were just, when you're younger, well, I'll speak for myself. I was a lot more, oh gosh, what's the word? I used to get a lot more enthusiastic and pleasant, and in a very innocent, pleasant way, excited. Now I still look forward to things and get excited, but at my age now, I'll admit I'm getting a little bit grumpier and I'm a little bit more cynical, even though I do laughter yoga. And a lot of people think, oh, she must be really positive. I can be, but I can also be sharp. I am sweet and salty and bitter all at the same time. So I don't look forward to things with as much enthusiasm and energy as I used to as a kid. So those summer concerts, I just remember being really excited about those concerts. And of course, one of my favorite memories was going to see, gosh, who the heck was I at? I think I was at a Rat and Poison concert in Allentown at the Allentown Fairgrounds. And I was probably 16, 17. I don't remember. My dad took me and my friend Sharon and Lorraine. And I think our friend Lorraine was kind of not where she was supposed to be at the end of the night. And my father was not happy. And he looked up at me as he was waiting for us. And he kind of yelled to me through the crowd, "No Madonna concert for you," because I was scheduled to go see Madonna. Of course, I still did get to go see Madonna, but my dad was not happy with me because, I mean, he wanted to get going and we were missing a friend, and that happens. But, this whole crowd base, of, that liked Rat and Poison are like, "Oh, Madonna." But, I'm sure there might've been other people there that liked a variety of different bands. I happen to like, Bon Jovi, Cinderella, Rat, Poison, but I also loved, Madonna and George Michael and all of those poppy kind of bands too. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of us like a variety of music. Although I will say, as far as summer concerts go, another difference from when I was a kid to now is that the concerts are a lot more expensive. I know people who've taken their kids to see Coldplay, and I've heard tickets were like 300, 500, I don't know, a lot of money. And I will pretty much pause and procrastinate on buying a computer and a laptop when it's only about a couple $100 more than those concert tickets. So it's just different perspective, I suppose, as we get older and prices go up on everything. So the drive-in is a fun summer thing to do, spending time kayaking, hiking, being in your state park, going to see summer concerts. These are a lot of the fun things that you can look forward to coming up. One of the things that I will talk about in one of my episodes about safety is, of course, being outdoors, you have to think of things like, being smart about ticks. You got to worry about that because that's a really big thing, especially if you go hiking. But I also know friends who've gotten ticks right in their own backyard. So that's something to think about this summer. We'll be talking a little bit about that. Sunscreen, you've got to wear your sunscreen, wear a hat. You've got to protect yourself from the sun. I know this is not fun stuff, but hey, you have to protect yourself. I'm trying to think what else I'm looking forward to. Of course, I will be visiting some wineries and I will keep you posted on that. I do not have any trips planned. So nothing exciting. But again, I just really, really look forward to my time outdoors. I look forward to my kayaking. I look forward to my peacefulness of being on my back deck. It's where I like to start the day with a cup of coffee and often end the day with a glass of wine, listening to the birds chirping because it really brings me peace. So other things I look forward to that are coming up, church picnic. If you're from Northeastern Pennsylvania, you know how really popular those are because we used to have like a church on every corner. Now, a lot of them have consolidated. I was raised Catholic, so I was from Holy Rosary in North Scranton, which is now, I believe, called Mary Mother of God Parish. And it's a combination of maybe 5, 6, 7 parishes. I can't keep up. Obviously, the Catholic Church has had to consolidate a lot, but church picnics are a really big thing in Scranton and throughout Northeastern Pennsylvania. So I know that Holy Rosary, or I should say Mary Mother of God Parish in North Scranton, that will be coming up June, I think 17th and 18th. So I have great memories of that. As a kid, when I was 14, I started volunteering and I was working the food stand. So I would take people's order. I was never a waitress in real life, but I would every summer from the time I was 14 until I was probably 30 or 32, every summer I would work the block party, get people's orders, hot dogs, burgers, steak and cheese, sausage and peppers, pierogies, all that good stuff. I would order it, get in line, serve it, get the money, do all that fun stuff. And it was obviously for a good cause, but it was fun. I used to do it with a friend and we would volunteer and it was just fun. So I do plan on not volunteering at the event this year. I don't do that anymore, but I will, of course, go out, get my pizza Frita. Who does not love fried dough? Hey, this is Northeastern Pennsylvania. We love our sweets, our snacks, fried dough, deep fried dough with sugar on it. So I'll be getting my pizza Frita. A lot of people love their potato pancakes. You play games, you take tickets on basket raffles and support the church or support whatever community. St. Joseph's is a wonderful nonprofit organization in Northeastern Pennsylvania. It's in Scranton specifically, and they could not have their church picnic, which is a huge fundraiser for them. They could not have it the past few years with COVID. I don't know. They might have had it last year, but they definitely lost at least 1 year to COVID. So hopefully they'll be returning this year. That is another fond memory of mine. It's usually held, I want to say July. I feel like it's the end of July. When I was a kid, I have some pictures, and maybe I'll try to put those on Facebook or Instagram. I would get my face painted. That was always a really big treat that I used to look forward to. I do have some pictures of my brother and I. My brother's 3 years older than me, Paul. He never looks quite as happy about the face painting as as I was, but I was always excited about that. And it's the little things as a kid. If I could buy something from their like rummage sale, I kind of remember having this, and I don't know why I remember this, but I do. It was a pink poodle, like I don't know, maybe it was like 6-7 inches high, and it was like metal, and you could put your earrings on it. It was an earring stand, so you'd put the earrings in it because it had holes in it, and it was a pink poodle. I know I got that at St. Joseph's picnic years and years ago, and that was a great memory. So summer picnics are really fun. Again, it's an affordable thing to do in Northeastern Pennsylvania. Take your family out, support a good cause, whether it's a church, it's St. Joseph's, which St. Joseph's is a really wonderful organization here in Northeastern Pennsylvania. They help people with disabilities, young people and adults, and they're just, the work they do is really valuable. And it's what, if you are in the region and you know WNEP, then you know the Go Joe fundraiser. The weatherman, Joe Snedeker, rides. He does this like bike-a-thon, and he raises money every year for St. Joseph. So it really is a really good organization. They're helping people. They're really just doing wonderful, heartfelt work. So I will admit to you that this week I was really kind of scattered. So I did not put a great plan together for tonight. So this may not be super fulfilling. I hope you got a little something out of it, but those are some of my favorite things about the summer that I remember. Oh, I should probably mention this one, not because it's going to mean anything necessarily to you, but another thing that I used to love as a kid, and I'm sure maybe you have enjoyed it, or maybe your kids do, sleeping in different locations, like camping in the backyard, or we never camped in the backyard because we never got that adventurous. And I'm not from an adventurous family. We never really camped. And that's okay. I'm not, I love my family. My upbringing was fine, but we just never really got into that. But the one thing I used to love was a big deal to me as a kid. I used to just enjoy it. When it was hot, during the really hot summer nights, we would sleep downstairs, and we would sleep in the big back room that had sliding glass doors and the screen door. And so the screen door, the glass door would be open so that the air could come in through the big screen door. And my parents would sleep on the fold out couch, and my brother and I each had our own. I assume they still sell them. They're called chair beds. It was like a little chair that folded up, and then you unfold it and it's like a single bed. I'm sure they still have them, and I'm sure they have them now in every imaginable size, for, like a love seat and all different kinds of cool things that we've come out with these days. But this was pretty basic. And I remember that mine was yellow, and it was like a vinyl or something like that. And I think the one my brother used was more of like a brownish tweed, but that was one of my favorite things to do. For one, we were not sleeping in our bed, so it was kind of like special. It was camping. We were sleeping somewhere else, even though it wasn't real camping, and having the fresh air come through the screen door, and the fact that we were all in one room. So that was kind of fun for me. I just really remember that. And it was something that made me happy, because I remember I would ask and say, can we sleep downstairs tonight? And whenever, my parents would say yes, I got really excited about that. So those were my excitement, as a kid, sleeping downstairs, going for ice cream and wearing my pajamas, going, to the drive-in, going to the church picnics, getting my face painted. Pretty basic stuff, but they bring me really fond memories. And now, like I said, really spending time in nature, kayaking, being on my deck, listening to the birds chirping. These are the things that bring me peace. And it is important that we find those things and practice them, because the world is, well, I'm sure people 100 years ago might have thought the world was crazy back then or really stressful. Who knows? But maybe now we talk about it more, and maybe that causes a little more stress too because we're on social media talking about our stress sometimes. So we're just reliving it over and over. But we do need to take time to unplug, find things that bring us joy and peace, and do that as much as we can. Practice it whenever you can, find joy. And if you do live in Northeastern Pennsylvania or you plan to visit, like I said, check out discovernepa.com, check out the visitnepa.org and dcnr.pa.gov to find out about state parks and trails. And I will put all of this in my social media post. And I wish you a really happy, healthy summer. As I said, in the coming weeks, we will talk about safety. We will talk about summer movies, and we'll talk about a variety of topics that I look forward to having, as usual, guests on who will share their expertise, their memories, their insights, all of that good stuff to help inform and to enlighten, to entertain, all that good stuff that I like to do. So thank you, as always, for listening. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of my wine glass, which I do not have tonight. It's all water. So have a great, great week. And I hope to see you, or excuse me, I hope you will be there listening next week or another time. Just be sure to come on back because I do appreciate your ears and your time.